Hey everybody, this is Dave Palumbo, and you're listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast.
Hello everybody, my name is Ian Taylor and welcome to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast, brought to you by the Marvel Cards Fan Collective, an awesome community of card collectors and creators. You can find our two groups on Facebook, details of which are at the end of this podcast, so come check us out. With me as always is my co-pilot in all things Marvel cards. Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. Everybody knows your name. Norrin Rad.
I love it. I love it. Cheers theme song. Great stuff.
In the house. Well, you know,
that's great.
It felt like a Cheers theme song kind of day.
I like it. I like it.
Simply because it's a day for reconnecting with people that you care about, and a time for reconnecting with people that you love.
100%.
And so it felt apt as we welcome a returning guest. We're starting to get returning guests, Norrin.
Yeah, it's true. Now we're getting returning guests. I love that.
We're starting to get returning guests. This episode will be called Dave Palumbo Returns. So if that isn't any indication as to who we've got returning this episode, then I don't know what is. Dave Palumbo, welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Great now, man.
Better to see your smiling face.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, that's quite some plague beard you've got going on, by the way.
Yeah, it's the front I keep under control. So the back is what has just been growing without any kind of maintenance whatsoever. So yeah, the longest it's ever been.
Wow. But, okay. Well, I tell you what, barbers are going to be busy when they reopen, aren't they? So I do mine myself once a week. Does your wife cut your hair? No,
Me?
Well, both of you actually, but I was looking at Norrin when I said that.
Well, Dave and I cut each other's hair. I drive 8 hours and he just hangs out. We talk. It's nice, long talks. It's sweet. You know what I mean? No, I messed up my head bad. Like, I got the idea that I could do it and be really cool. I was watching a YouTube video and I watched it once with Emily, my wife, and we're sitting there and we watch it. I'm like, I can do that. She's like, don't do that, honey. I was like, I got this. It's fine. And then like 3 hours later, she went to go do something else. I was in the bathroom and she heard the shaver going. She's like, put the video on. Watch the video while you do it. I'm like, no, I remember. And I swear to God, this giant piece of my back skull is like missing. It's finally growing in and it's like really rough, but I totally butchered it. But you know, this is what you have during the pandemic. So, but that was a fun day. Now I'm just keeping it maintained.
Oh my goodness me. Well, yeah, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
I suppose I did ask. What have we been up to since the last time we spoke? Well, Marvel Masterpieces 2020 came and has pretty much gone, as in it's sold out on EPAC in the fastest time for any of the free sets, 4 days, I believe. How's it make you feel when you see what a response it got from EPAC and just general release? It must be quite bizarre watching it ripple, Well,
it was I guess there was like a little bit of a false start where it was announced and then delayed, and then finally did come out the following week, and and then it was really fun. I could see, like, back when I was still working on the set and I was listening to the show, I remember you guys did the All About EPAC episode, and that was like my introduction to any of that. And so, because I was coming from the point of view of like, wait, you buy the cards, but you don't actually get cards. Like, I just didn't understand it at that point, and I got the whole, like, okay, so you can trade, and that's pretty cool. Like, you can see what other people have. You can see when big hits pop up. I didn't fully appreciate what that would feel like in real time. And just to see, like, all of a sudden, the day that the EPAC sales went live, that was just like, my whole Facebook was just people pulling red spectrums and, just like all the big hits, the I didn't see any of my sketch cards, but I saw some really amazing sketch cards from other artists popping up that day. And so it was just like just seeing all that stuff like in such an intense burst, because I'm sure like there were lots of people sharing, doing live breaks and that kind of thing, but it seemed much more spaced and spread out. And to just get that really kind of like concentrated dose was like, whoa, this is. And I can see also where it gives a little bit of a distorted picture of like everybody's pulling amazing stuff, and then other people have to come on and be like, I didn't get shit. So,
listen. I'm kind of torn at this point, because I could blow smoke up your ass and say every single card is a hit, but it is interesting. A lot of people do. I think I did 5 or 6 bursts of 2 packs a piece, because I'm pretty tapped out, so I didn't buy an awful lot. But a lot of people go into it thinking, I'm just going to do that, and they're disappointed if it doesn't if the value of what they get isn't what they spent, just from a box or a pack point of view. But so there's a lot of people who obviously didn't get anything, like a red flashy thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't have anything to do with that, but I do feel bad when, people are spending a lot of money and not like happy with their hits when it's a matter of rarity, which I separate that from, the product itself. Somebody, there was, I think it was like during the countdown to sell out, and there was one of the members was just like every 10 minutes buying 2 packs and posting that they were getting some kind of like got a signature, I got a sketch card. Did you see this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And and I thought this was really interesting. Like I was looking at that, and I was looking at some other posts where people were debating like whether they preferred to buy single packs or whether they preferred to buy a box. And I think it felt like it was easy to miss. The box is the guarantee, and the single pack is the, kind of like all or nothing. That, when for every person that's like hitting on those single packs, there's someone else who's not, and the people buying boxes are kind of like hedging the bet. So if I'm reading it correctly, anyway.
No, you are. I mean, I always try. I think Ian and I both posted like letters on there talking about red flashers and all that stuff. But I always show packs I open, because I don't do it often either. Just because it's definitely a big gamble, and I try to keep myself away from getting too hooked on it. But I think I did a box and I did a couple packs. You know what I mean? So, But I think, like you said before, it really changes when you start realizing that there's nothing going to be hidden from you right away. You know what I mean? Anything you're excited to see, the really cool sketch cards, the different artists, your sketch cards, the redemption art card for Wolverine was pulled, which was absolutely crazy fun to see that go down. That's the thing I really enjoyed about it. But yeah, I feel the same way. I think there's a good mixture of people in the group that try to like be like, open the pack, didn't get shit, but got this, and trying to like soften the blow, because it is, you know what I mean? It's definitely high risk, high reward type of thing.
Yeah. I didn't. Oh, sorry.
No, carry on.
I didn't realize I know the red spectrums are a big deal. I didn't realize how much some of those resell for, and I know a lot of prices are kind of maybe like, we're aiming high, and we'll see what kind of offers come in, but still it's when you say high risk, high reward, like definitely there's
and the red spectrums,
big ones out there.
Yeah, and they do sell high. I mean, red spectrums are pretty solid for that. They do aim high, but the bigger characters, the big reds, I've seen them go 1K, 2K, 3K type of stuff for one of those. Like the Wolverine's going to be crazy when it's
I have a feeling that's the big one for 2020 anyway.
Yeah. Someone in our group pulled it. Really nice, and I know he's going to post it for sale, I believe, from what I was told by him. But so I mean, people are just running to find those big hits. But I mean, I think what I really like, and we've talked about this on the show too, is that you get to see every card. Mm-hmm. You get to see a picture of everything. You know what I mean? I mean, you did it so well by, which I'm sure is a segue we're going into next, is where, you posted the paintings. You know what I mean? You got to see them uninhibited by the foiling, which is really lovely for the card, but it's always really cool to see the big piece as well, so it's really cool to see that and then get to see and have like a little archive library on ePack
Well, and especially, and I feel like with the sketch cards, especially for ePack, because there's a ton of people in the group that share that stuff, but it still seems like it's a very small portion of the overall product that's out there, and most of it is kind of scattered. So at least on ePack you can kind of like see it all in one place, and I honestly I don't really know the interface or anything, but just seeing what people are sharing on Facebook is it's a definite difference from physical product as far as just like how concentrated it is. And I guess it's easy because people don't have to take a photo, they've already got the screenshot. So
it's interesting because one of the things I did with I didn't do it so much for 2018, someone else in the group did, but with 2020 I've been really trying to make sure that we capture a picture of every one of the red spectrums that's pulled so that we can have it as kind of an archive, and it's been really good. I was going onto ePack's site a couple of times a day and just scrolling through, because some people lock them away as soon as they pull them. They don't want them to be visible. They don't want them to be open for trades because they want to keep it.
When that happens, do you still know it's been pulled?
No.
Okay, so it's like if you didn't happen to see it pop up and go away again.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of cards that vanish from sight. Yeah. And the group, we always have people thanking the group and thanking everybody, all the group members who are in there, because so much of this stuff is just, we told you this a long time ago. I think if you remember, we were like, man, some of this stuff gets pulled and it is gone. You know what I mean? You just don't get to appreciate it or know where it's at. But yeah, so Ian's trying desperately to keep a log. We did it for 18, but we didn't do pictures, right, Ian? I don't think we did.
That's right.
And we'll probably also be keeping a log of the prelims, because we did do that with 18. Because I lost my mind on that.
I'm really I know there's a few people who have been waiting very patiently for their pieces to show up in the mail, and I'm excited to see which ones they get. It's like
that's going to be next, because some people have had shipping confirmations.
Yeah. That should be delivering this week or next week for some people, I think, right? We saw a few.
Yeah.
So crazy. So,
I'm really excited. For that. Stoked. I've got all these. I've got all the red spectrum pictures. At the moment, I've just not had time to sort them, so I've just been saving them all to a folder on my Google Drive. So at some point, I will go down and go through the checklist and say, yes, we've got a picture of that. Yes, we've got a picture of that. No, we haven't got that one. Does it mean it's not being pulled? No, just means we don't have a picture of it. And then once I get that and put it on the group as an album people can refer to, then hopefully other people will say, well, I actually did get this, and here's a picture of it. So, hopefully we'll have that, because unless you've had one of those in here, I've got one from 2018, and they are beautiful the way they do the red foiling on them. But they really are wonderful pieces. So I'm looking forward to obviously doing that again for the redemptions. I haven't seen the Black Cat red spectrum be pulled yet. Not to say it hasn't been, but I just haven't seen it. So,
yeah, people are sitting on cases too, which is another thing that happens, Dave. Sometimes people buy physical product and just, I don't think there's any more physical product that's to buy on Dave and Adams, or is there? There's still some boxes
they keep drip feeding stuff out. So who knows how much they've got. But some people buy physical boxes and cases to collect and leave sealed forever.
Yeah.
I don't understand why there was such a shortage at the beginning, where people were not getting their pre-orders, and now there's still stock laying around.
There's a couple of rumors going around. We don't want to accuse anybody, but there was.
It's fair.
It's it's just one of those things. Well, because
there's a little bit of bad feeling about it.
I think Jusko's set kind of came out, and no one realized how it was going to change the landscape of Marvel cards so intensely. Right. And I think 18 happened and everybody was like, oh, this is not going to be as big as 16. And then it was. Mm-hmm. And then when 20 came out, everyone was like, all right, no one's going to get stuck behind losing out on money. So a lot of people were like, we're holding back product and selling it later to see the value increase. So the crazy thing, and the reason e-Pack sold out so quickly, so not only for the art, but because the physical box was like 3 times the price of an e-Pack box. At one point. So then it was just like everyone was, and we were all really grateful for the price on e-Pack, because we were worried.
No, that was a good call for Upper Deck.
That was a really great call. We were all super grateful because I think everybody was like,
right. They pitched that right.
Everybody was in chat was like, I think I'm going to get a case, but if it's priced at this per box, I have to do boxes. And everyone was like waiting for that price. And then when it happened, everybody was like, all right, let's go in. And I think that's why it even like spiraled and went fast because it was only 3-4 days.
It was 4 days. It was 4 days, and there is a number of hours I could work it out, but but I think it sold out at hang on, no, let me work it out because it sold out at about 10:30 EST, which is Pacific time, 7:30 EST. So 4 days, 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I think Ian messaged me that morning and told me that it was going to sell out, like that morning my time. So it sold out, at 10:30 that night my time.
I believe so. Yeah.
But I remember, you messaged me and I saw the thread on the Facebook group where there was still like, I don't remember
people
how
counting
many.
Them down. It was like 77 cases,
67,
and then it went down to 38 or something, and then it was like no cases left, just boxes, and it was bizarre.
In the morning when you said it, I was looking, I was like, that seems like they've still got a lot left. I don't know, but. You guys know what you're doing. You called it.
Well,
so.
it kind of touches on the fact that it's bizarre. Is that the factor that you can't take into account is the fact that 2020 and rolling into 21, there's been such a boom in just generally cards. People are going nuts for anything, even the sport stuff. People are queuing up waiting for it to come at stock at Walmarts and Targets. It's and then they're there before the guys put it on the shelf, just grabbing stuff out of the basket. People are going nuts for this stuff. So I think people are hungry for it because what else have they got to do? But we saw it the previous week. Was it the previous week or the 2 weekends before with Fleer Ultra Spider-Man, which had been on e-Pack for 3 years. And as soon as it got to the point where it had dropped, because you can see how much is left by adding it to your basket. So, and the most you can add to your basket is 99 cases. If it doesn't allow you to add 99 cases, it'll tell you how many you can have. So that's a way people know when it's below 99. As soon as that happens, it's like sharks and blood in the water.
Oh, yeah.
Fleer Ultra Spider-Man lasted, when it got to that point, 99 cases, I think it lasted about 36 hours.
Yep.
And I was one of those sharks. I was going nuts.
I wish, man.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was out of power. I was during that ice storm. I don't know how much of that you got, Dave. I was out for like 4 or 5 days.
So far, it's been a totally normal winter up here. We didn't lose power or anything. So
lucky.
Yeah. So yes, very, very much so. But no, I was going to ask. I'm sorry. Like I'm on here just asking you guys all the
really? I love hanging out with you, brother. No worries.
I saw a couple people were like sitting on their e-Packs, and I wonder if that's a short-term thing where they're like they want to wait a few days and they're going to open. But are there people who like, because you said like some people will hold a case and just not open it ame ever. And,
physically, yeah.
But with the e-Packs, like I assume by now they've probably all been opened up.
So so 2 things are happening. So some people like to prolong their pleasure, as gross as that sounds. Very Sting-like. Very Tantra. And will like buy a case and open a pack like once a day. So they'll do that for the next however many days that is, just to get the thrill of because the crazy thing that happens too is that let's say you buy a box, right? And you see everything that's been pulled and you're like, well, there's still more Palumbo sketches to be pulled. Any of my Palumbo sketches in this box. And then they just like wait until, you know what I mean? And get to that level.
I mentioned, I think it might have been on a comment from one of your posts, or maybe it was one of Pat King's posts that I mentioned the Monty Hall problem, which is a statistical formula or idea, or I don't know exactly what you'd call it, that I only kind of understand because it feels to me illogical, but people who are really good at math insist that it's right, so I'm going to trust them on it. But yeah, just that your odds, I mean, obviously if you're trying to get like that, I don't know that the Spider-Man redemption has turned up yet, the original painting for the Spider-Man canvas gallery, and so that's still out there somewhere, and your odds of getting it are now much higher, assuming that it hasn't been pulled by someone who just didn't share it with the world, which could have happened. But the odds are now much higher that you would get it because of the cases remaining. It's probably still in one of them.
So the probability increases, so your odds would be lower, or?
Your odds would be improved.
Because basically
that are open. Yeah.
So what I've seen a lot of people do that buy cases and collect cases is that they'll buy 2 cases, and they'll buy 3, open one up front so they can see the product, get off on it, and then hold 2 cases, and then when that probability increases, right, they'll either open the second case or sell the case at a very high price because they understand everybody else is looking for that Spider-Man redemption. So because the Wolverine one was on e-Pack, everyone's assuming the Spider-Man canvas isn't physical.
Which would make sense, sure. Yeah.
Which would make sense if they divided them, right? Which
and
would
especially because I didn't know they were going to each get their own card, which is cool. As opposed to you got one of these 2 paintings.
Yes.
Yeah, they have their own redemption card with a picture on it. It's really, really awesome.
I'm really curious how it's going to show up too. They're 18 by 24s, so reasonably sizable pieces for Upper Deck to be shipping out. And,
they ship well. Well. Yeah,
I would expect so. Yeah.
In the Wolverine one has now disappeared from e-Pack, but I did grab a. That's the other thing I do. I like to grab images, so just to have that digital archive, if you like. So I've made sure I've saved a picture of that card because there's only one of those, of course. The original comic cover sketch redemptions, the prelim art, and then obviously the uncut sheet redemptions. Because
the painting.
Yeah, well, one thing I quite like having is just the redemption card because even if it's been redeemed. So I remember from 2018,
I did. I was lucky enough.
Yeah,
card.
exactly.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, the Wolverine one certainly is, but in terms of the preliminary art, obviously there'll be. I mean, there's 17 visible on e-Packs at the moment. We know there's a lot more of those in existence, and then the uncut sheet redemptions as well. So just regardless of what it's redeemed for, I just quite like having the cards. It's quite nice. Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you is, and I don't know how much you're allowed to say on this because I saw on group someone asked and you said you'd need to check if you could show them or talk about them. Is the original comic cover sketch?
I think I can talk about them as much as I want. I emailed to see if that's something that they would mind me showing yet, and I just haven't gotten a reply. And I know that kind of a question is not of the highest urgency right now either, because they're working, I'm sure, on all the future products that are going to be coming out, and so communication has always been really good, but I haven't gotten an answer back yet on that. But
that's fair enough. So what can we expect with those? Because I've been curious.
I would describe them as basically similar to my sketch cards, except bigger, and on a comic book instead of on a card. The thing that's a little different about them is because each of the sketch covers has the title at the top, like the masthead, or actually I should say whatever design elements, because some of them I think had design at the bottom also.
Okay.
So it's not just a white whatever rectangular shape a comic cover is. It's like the white shape with that text and stuff going on. And so the way I decided to do it was to paint each piece like little insets on the cover. So it's the same technique that I used on the sketch cards where I masked off an area and primed it with an acrylic gesso and then painted it. And then when I remove the tape, it's got like a clean edge, and it looks almost, it's kind of raised because of the thickness of the paint. It almost, some people thought with the sketch cards, they're like, did you like glue something to the card? But it's just that it's once you pull the tape off the edge, you get that like ever so slightly like raised surface. So, but because the different comics that they sent me, like they just sent me like a stack of various sketch covers of different titles. And so, you know, it's like if there was one that was an Avengers cover and then there's another one that was a Spider-Man cover, for example, the titles are different shapes and different sizes. And in some cases also just because of whatever the image was that I was thinking that I wanted to paint might have made better sense as a tall vertical as opposed to a more square shape, you know. So they don't like fill the cover, but they're definitely like substantially bigger than the image on a sketch card. And other than that, they're pretty similar. Like they're basically like character portraits, minimal background. Backgrounds are really more of just kind of like tonal and color and texture, but not really like environments. And
any crazy fun characters on the sketch covers?
I don't think there's any reason not to say. Although I'm not sure that I'm going to remember them all off the top of my head. I remember there was an Avengers, there was a Wolverine, there was a Spider-Man. Like those are probably the three that are going to be
head honchos.
There was a Black Cat, Ian, which is actually probably my favorite of the group.
Chef, thank you.
And there was a Civil War and an X-Men, both of which were pretty cool. And there were some strange ones too. I think there was an Iron Fist, and there was a Guardians 3000. You know, that were some like a little
that's cool,
more off the beaten path, which is in keeping, I think, with the 2020 set in general. But
yeah.
Was Iron Fist in the set? He wasn't, was he?
No. So that might have been. Was there an Iron Fist movie or something coming out?
Defenders. He was in the Netflix Defenders
series. It could have been. Yeah. I don't know. There were certain things that seemed to be like they didn't want to overlap with upcoming. Movies and show releases. So I'm not. Or it could just be that I didn't mention Iron Fist and neither did they. That could have happened also. But no. When I got the comics with the sketch covers, also one of the things that I looked at which specific issues they were and tried to match. So like for the X-Men one, the costume and character choice that I used for that cover was keyed off of the issue, because it was
gotcha.
I wouldn't have chosen this particular look for the character, but it feels weird to me to have the cover be a different costume than what's going on inside, or be characters that aren't represented in the issue. So, yeah.
Love that.
That's interesting. How did you find it working on those blank covers that Marvel obviously create on mass? How were they to work on for you?
They seemed pretty good. From what I remember, it wasn't really that different from the surface of the sketch cards. The sketch cards were really nice to work on. It seems like they use a pretty heavy Bristol paper stock for those. And I always worry a little bit about warping, which is another reason why I didn't want to go full cover, like edge to edge, because I feel like that could potentially have really kind of not worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, being a smaller area in the larger page, and then just the way that I had everything taped up when I was painting, it seemed to keep it nice and flat. And then they went back into their bags and boards. And I don't believe there was any issues with it.
They are pretty sturdy. I mean, Marvel have been doing them for quite a while now, and I've got at least one that's almost fully panel, which is an oil, I believe.
Oh, nice.
Now that border was printed there, So actually, they've had just that middle space to work in, so they haven't done the whole thing. This is Portrats and High.
Okay.
And Jason Portrats and Jack High, they worked together about 10 years ago, I want to say, on Spider-Man Archives, and it's around that time. So I've had this about 10 years now. So Marvel have been doing these for quite a while, but I've never experienced any of these. I've never had them full bleed, and for the reasons, obviously, you've got the masthead and this one's got the stuff down the side. But I've never experienced any that have had any kind of issues like that.
I was a little worried going in just because I couldn't find much information about wet media. I found a couple people I think on YouTube, I saw a little bit of people using acrylic, and I was actually considering working in gouache. My brother's also an illustrator and professional artist, and he's a lot more experimental with his materials than I am. And I remember having a conversation with him about, because I was like, can I borrow some of your gouaches? I want to like fool around with this because it seems like it might be the right medium to use for this. And in the end, after talking to him, it just kind of felt like I should just stick with using what I'm comfortable with, because it probably won't be that different. And, you know, then I won't have to be fighting if there's any learning curve to, you know, using a different kind of something. I don't know. I've always wanted to use gouache. I've just never done it. So maybe this isn't the time to do it. You know? Is
it just because I know that people may ask, and so I'm just going to asking for a friend. Is it something you consider doing commissions on in the future?
Comic covers?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know on that. I wouldn't say hard no, but it's not something that I'm probably going to be like pursuing. And there have been a couple of there have been things like that where people come to me. I don't have clearly defined rules on my website about commissions, but I have general guidelines as to how I do commissions, and I have bent my own rules recently a few times just because you know, I happen to have some time in my schedule right at that moment to do something smaller than I might normally do, or it was somebody that, you know, like I'd be a little bit more accommodating if it's somebody that I'm, you know, friends with online, and I want to kind of, you know, like, yeah, okay, that I know you're not going to make the thing. I think a lot of the boundaries of that stuff are really just because every once in a while, without meaning to be, somebody can be really like difficult. And, you know, when you're doing a full piece commission, it might be worth that extra trouble because regular clients can be difficult also. But when you're doing like a little piece that's paying much less than I'd be getting for, you know, my normal illustration work, then it's like, okay, we're like 16 emails into this and you still haven't committed to an idea, and I'm regretting this whole thing. You know, so that's where so far with like the smaller pieces that I've been doing on like sketch cards for people, everybody's been great. But I've had those experiences in the past, and so, you know, it's always this kind of like trying to walk the line between I want this to be a good experience for everybody. I've been on the other side of the table. Yeah. You know, I don't. I feel like maybe we talked about this last time I was on, and maybe not. But I have had an artist upset me to the point that I just didn't like their work anymore because they were so like unpleasant to communicate with after I'd paid them the money, and I was just like waiting for them to do a piece for me. I know what that feels like, and I don't want to make anyone else feel like that. You know,
that makes sense.
No, so everyone's sung your presence, man. Everyone's super happy with like the sketch things you're doing. Everyone's like, Palumbo's the best. He's super sweet. We see posts like that all the time. Mm-hmm. We appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I know, you know, just putting up my own kind of boundaries is for everybody's benefit. And I get myself in trouble sometimes if I feel like, well, you know, maybe I'll bend the rules here and, you know, take a chance. And so far, so good, you know. But But yeah, so I'm not sure, Ian, if that's something that I would
I'm just curious. It's one of those bizarre things. It's just you get the weirdest questions after we do some of these episodes because either there's something we forgot, or I'll give you an example. When we had Travis from Upper Deck on the other month, just simply because everyone forgot to mention one of the major releases. And so people are saying, "Oh, is that no longer happening now?" It's just like, well, no, we didn't.
No,
we just forgot to talk about it. You know?
It's a fair question, and like so just doing sketch card commissions at all is kind of bending my own rules, because normally something like that would just be, and it's I feel like it sounds really kind of crappy to be like it's too small, but when I say that, it's just because it becomes a lot to keep track of and wanted what, and sometimes people have like something's really important to them and other people are like, just, you know, this is the character I like, do whatever you want, and then making sure that it doesn't sit there for 6 months or a year and not get done. It's like those things do kind of start to add up, and if I'm not busy with anything else, it's easy to keep track of. I'm strangely suddenly very busy right now, and I say that because the types of projects, it was like all within the space of a couple weeks, and in one case 3 in one day, clients contacted me for long-term large-scale projects. Like the rest of my year is kind of going to be occupied.
Wow.
Doing, and it's nothing card related, sorry to say, guys, but it's like multiple clients where I'm going to be doing 8 or more full-size paintings for them, all due in the coming, between now and the end of the year. And so it's like those are things where I feel like, okay, if I keep on top of this, I can keep it all straight, and I can dedicate the proper attention to all these projects and everything. But then when I start taking like individual commissions from people, that's where I need to be careful that I don't either overload myself or just, say yes to somebody and then, oh shit, this thing has a deadline. I need to get this done by, April 6th or whatever. I'll put this other thing off. And then before you know it, it's like way, way later. And that person's feeling rightfully a little bit frustrated that they sent their money and they're still waiting for their thing, like way down the line. So
completely.
We've had good conversations with artists, and I think we've talked about this on shows too. It's like where we talked about the AP process. I forgot when that was, Ian, but I feel maybe vaguely, it was a while ago now, but we did talk about that because it is something that a lot of card collectors do come up with, and are excited to try. So it's pretty funny, you know what I mean, how the details and but I think for the most part, a lot of the card people in the group have always been really understanding of that. I always think the best method is to be like, hey, I want this character, do what you got to do. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, I've done a lot of commissions in the past. I slowed down immensely because I would just get so nervous. I would get so nervous. And then I would build up like an image in my head of what I would want. And then if it wasn't even like, if it was great and not even that close, I get all depressed. All this weird, stupid stuff.
That's the other thing that I have been uncomfortable with private commissions for collectors for most of my career, because it feels like it's a different kind of pressure than doing a cover or doing a product illustration, where the art director and I communicate. We understand what the brand is. We're trying to make a cool thing that people are going to like. But that's different from one person who you really want to love it, and you want them to, this is a piece that they're probably going to hang up in their home and look at every day. You want them to love the piece. You want them to love the experience. You don't want them to look at that painting every day and think like they're resentful of something, or they're, regret something about the way the whole thing happened. They're embarrassed about something. Like, I've been on the other side of the table, and I know, that sucks. It's really like, and then you feel like I'm stuck with this thing. What can I do about it? And so, just it almost feels like it's more work because it's like trying to be anticipating and avoiding any of that kind of stuff happen, you know?
Yeah, it's the weight of expectation, I guess, that hangs on that. Something you touched on just a few minutes ago when we talked about Iron Fist, and I found this quite interesting, is, and we, I'm sure you heard, we spoke to Bill Sienkiewicz, and he used a wonderful phrase when he's a lovely man,
so nice.
when he described the roads not taken. Was his phrase, and what springs to mind is you showed, I think yesterday or the day before, you showed a character that didn't make into the set, Cersei, I believe. And first of all, that is a badass piece. I mean, I'm not massively familiar with the character, but my goodness me, I looked at that and I was like, I almost dropped my phone. It was so good.
Really cool.
And that's obviously a fully finished piece. That
was done. I mean, that one was in the bag for like 18 months before they pulled it. It wasn't anything to do with the art. You know, it's like if you turn in the art and they say this isn't going to work, you know, that's one thing. But it was something completely unrelated. And that one, Icarus and Shang-Chi had all been finished, and there were a few others that I had planned but had not painted yet. I think one of them I was actually like days away from painting, and like I had my reference and everything all put together. And I remember it was on Valentine's Day last year, because I was at the Jurassic World live show watching Pat King fight dinosaurs, and I remember sitting in the bleachers. It's so fucking weird that a year ago I was sitting in bleachers, like surrounded by people at a thing. But yeah, like I remember my wife and I were sitting there watching the Jurassic World show, and during the intermission, I checked my phone and I got this email that was like, okay, so we can't do these characters anymore. I don't remember. Actually, it might have been the email that told me that they couldn't do those characters, or it might have been a follow-up email that was like, here's the new characters that we're doing instead of these characters. But yeah, I just remember like sitting at the show and just being like, okay.
Oh man, what a pain.
And I mean, you know, they gave me more time. They paid for the old pieces, and they were like, we're just going to add some new ones on. It was all good. And honestly, the characters that got swapped out for the characters that got swapped in, I think made the set better anyway.
Good.
But yeah, those three that were already finished, I was just like, oh, okay, I guess these will just be kind of like, you know, director's cut material.
Well, they're the lost cards. I mean, we had that with Masterpieces 92. I think they branded them the lost cards, but I think I can't remember the story now, but I don't think they're technically lost at all. But it's kind of that kind of thing. So have we now? Cersei, obviously, I've been poring over for the last 24 hours or so since it was out. I keep going back to look at it. Have we seen the Iron Fist and the other one that you mentioned, Icarus? Was it? No, not Iron Fist. Shang-Chi and Icarus, I think.
Yeah, Shang-Chi and Icarus. I haven't made any public posts of the finished pieces, but the prelims were in the group of prelims that I put up back in November, I think.
That's right. I think it was
November.
Your last.
Those are probably still sitting on my website, actually. The prelim images. Yeah, I think they are.
Yes.
But
I remember seeing prelims for art that we hadn't seen yet. I remember that exciting me when I saw that.
And then, and there was only one or two that were of a card. This only happened 2 or 3 times that the sketch I sent in, they were like, could you... Oh, so you know what? There was another character change. Man-Wolf was originally Werewolf by Night, and I don't remember if I ever showed the original sketch for that, because I think that one might have not been put up for sale. Let me check this.
Interesting.
The riveting and exciting.
Werewolf. Yeah, that's really cool.
Watching me Google my own.
No, that's fine. Well, Werewolf by Night, of course. There's a collector in the group, Greg Dawson, who goes after monsters. So he goes after Ghost Rider. He goes after
Man-Thing,
Dracula.
I did not share that one because I don't have it. I didn't have it to sell. But yeah, so maybe I'll show that to the group at least so that people can see it. It's basically the same painting, but with Werewolf by Night instead of Man-Wolf.
Cool.
Because that was another one where it was like, I think it was like kind of approved, and then they were like, oh, you know what, last minute, and I was like, well, does it work if we go with the idea that I'm already working on? And they're like, yeah, and I was like, okay, cool. So it's just like Man-Wolf wearing pants with no shirt instead of his spacesuit. But yeah,
fair enough.
Love it.
Yes, you do. Do you? So actually, we just touched on it, because what I want to do is get to the artwork that you couldn't talk about the first time, and there's a couple. But on the way there, let's talk about the probably dizzying experience, and I'm hoping that's an appropriate use of the word, of selling those in those weekly bursts, those original art pieces, and then the prelims, which I know you did over the course of 2 months, maybe.
8 weeks. 8 weeks, eh? 8 weeks plus the. There was also the first batch that was the. So I did the first batch when they announced the set, and and that was just kind of a random assortment of images that they used to promote with, and then when the set came out, starting, I think the first ones went up maybe that day or shortly after the set released, and then it was weekly for the next 8 weeks. And then I took a couple weeks off and then did the prelims in I think mid-November. So and it was like a full-time job. I mean, I had a lot of time beforehand to think about how I wanted to do this, and I took it very seriously. I had a lot of different considerations that I was, paying attention to going into it, and I'm really happy with how it went. I feel like I learned some things in doing it, but for the most part, there weren't too many unpleasant surprises or anything that came up. I think the main thing, I really underestimated how all-consuming it was going to be to do that. And it was fortunate that I happened to be having a slow period with commission work at that moment. So I was doing like a little bit of jobs at the time, but most of my time really was being spent like preparing the web page, setting it up, promoting it, and then once the page went live, packing and shipping and communicating with people. And it felt like I'm sure like that every week then do it again, so it was like similar to when I've seen like people talk about working on a TV show, and they've got like every week they film a new episode, and then you wake up the next day and start writing the next one, and so it was like this kind of like a routine that lasted through the duration of those, where I knew what I was going to be doing each day, because it got to be like, this is the day that I box everything, so this is the day that I photograph everything and rebuild the website, and
Wow, hats off to you. I mean, listen. I mean, I'm really thrilled that they were so well received and moved so well for you.
Likewise, I didn't know what was going to happen. To be honest, the main thing I was worried about, and part of the reason I structured everything the way I did, was that people were going to come in and buy the kind of like the premier characters, and then nobody was going to be interested in like arcade and, you know, wizard and like the kind of like less flashy characters that
wizard.
I think,
what you mean, you?
Yeah. And when it was a real surprise, like I'm much more used to the way that the Magic collectors buy originals, and a lot of the people who were buying these were crossover collectors. There were definitely a number of people who were buying from me who I know from the Magic community, and there's such a attachment between desirability and the card, more so than the art. When it comes to Magic, like there are pieces of amazing art on cards that are not particularly playable, and that really impacts the desirability and the value of the original, which is a real shame. There's some amazing artists who just don't get put on the big cards, you know, and so their work, it sells okay, but then there's the guys whose work is selling for, you know, tens of thousands of dollars because they're doing planeswalkers and stuff. And to me, there's not a difference in quality between these two different paintings. It's just that one of them, I get it, you know, I understand why that happens. And I knew that there was going to be some of that with these, because obviously people are going to be more interested in a Wolverine painting than they're going to be in, you know, Nighthawk. But that was the thing. I just wanted to figure out a way to put these out in a way that kind of, I don't know, didn't end up in a just kind of like a mad rush for the big names and then a neglect of the others. And
I thought it highlighted a lot of really good pieces that you had. I mean, a lot of the pieces are amazing to me, and I feel like putting them in batches highlighted the ones that maybe people would have looked over. I was so close to getting that Howard the Duck because I have such a soft spot for Howard the Duck. You have no. I was like, close.
There's some of them that I'm like, should I have sold that one? But you know, no. I kept the ones that I really wanted to keep, and I didn't want to hold too many back. Then at the end of the day, there were a few that didn't sell that I reverted to not for sale because I was like, all right, they were out there, people had a chance. I actually think I kind of want to keep this one. So if Howard the Duck hadn't sold, it would have become a not for sale, I think.
I just love it so much. I love the neon in it. I'm just like such a fan of what you did there because it's so noir. It's so pretty.
Yeah,
so great.
I mean, I feel like, as a fan, I'm, you know, fan of old detective movies for sure, and so I was pulling in a lot of that. I like the Howard the Duck movie.
Me too.
For the most part, I think that you and I are about the same age, and so it's possible that we both grew up with it at an age where we could forgive a lot of things that are unforgivable to some other people. But I know it's not everyone's
cup of tea.
I've never seen it, so
it's hard to watch older. Like it's Tim Robbins in it, right? I forget who the woman is, the actress who's the. Oh yeah,
Marty's mom, Back to the Future.
That's right, Marty's mom.
And,
my
God.
Thompson.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, she's great in it too. She's a trip.
The 80s hair that I think I've ever seen her have. It's because she's supposed to be like the singer for I guess like a new wave band.
That's a new wave.
And so it's like she's always like done up in her kind of like
80s to max.
Look, you know.
It's pretty great. Well, because
the villain is, or he's not really the villain, but he I don't spoilers, but also Jeff Jones, who is the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He's kind of like the other big player in the movie. But,
It's good I mean, like, it's a good costume. Like, it's. I mean, I still think it holds up. I mean, Ninja Turtles was around this time too. So like,
you know what I mean? The 1989 Ninja Turtles? You mean? I loved that film. Yes. Yes.
I need to revisit that one. I haven't seen that in decades. But Well, so when you start watching Howard the Duck, you're gonna get it's probably only like 6 minutes into the movie, and you're gonna see duck boobs, and you're gonna be like, I don't know. And that's I think that's the moment ready. People are, that's where you're with this movie or you're not with this movie.
Yeah, you know what? You've actually sold it more to me by saying that, which probably speaks more to my character than it does to anything else. But we've actually quite nicely segued down into a lot of the pieces that you couldn't talk about, because I remember reading through the checklist and saying, Howard the Duck, when I was talking to you last time, and of course you couldn't show us it, and we hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
So we've done Howard, and you were saying there was one piece, and I think I know which piece it is, that you probably spent way more time on than
you know which one it is. You should have.
So am I right? Is this Pip the Troll?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, and am I right in thinking that there's a director's cut of Pip the Troll?
Yeah, I might have. Well, it's the one that's on my site. So all the pieces. Let me make sure I'm. If you go to the gallery on my site, these are all of my version. Hang on, I'm just looking. There's another one that I'm double checking to see if I posted the printed version or the painted version.
Quite all right. I know you've posted this, but I was the reason I kind of brought it up is I thought it might be a good one for kind of people to hear the tale behind for those who may not have seen the post, because I think it's really interesting. This I will put it on the tasting notes for people to see, but I do actually have care of our friend Donnie Coltrider, who sent me a rather nice file with all of the images of the artwork in to save me.
Is that the red?
Yeah, it's the red. My friend has it here because he lives somewhere else. So
hang on a minute, you've got a red Spectrum in your hand.
For Pip the Troll. I just remembered.
Hang on, keep that there. There we go.
Isn't that hilarious? I thought you would love to see this, Dave. I just realized it was here. The one of one red for Pip the Troll.
That's amazing. There we go. Well, there we go. There you go, Dave. There's a red Spectrum in hand.
I'm so glad that was still here. I totally forgot. I was like, man, I hope this is here by the time we talk to Dave. So lucky.
Yeah, there's a couple characters that I honestly like. So I love Howard the Duck. Besides being a fan of the movie, I didn't keep a whole lot of my comic collection. I think I still have the original run of Howard the Duck comics that from way back, But there are definitely some characters in here that I was not connected to, and that almost kind of pushed me to go further with them. And Pip the Troll, Ex Nihilo was another one that I was like, I don't know who this is, but I want to. Yeah, and that was where when I was saying like I wasn't sure how people. How collectors would take to some of the lesser known characters, because I'm used to, like if it's an unplayable common in Magic, then you might not find a buyer for the piece, kind of a thing. And so that's kind of the category. And so it's like you better make that painting super awesome. And yeah, with the both of those and some others in here, I was like, I don't really know if people are gonna be into. I kept Pip the Troll. That one is staying with me. But Ex Nihilo I put up, and I think somebody bought it like right away. And,
they should have. I mean, for me, and I hopefully we can get into this in this conversation, but it's definitely like top 5 for me. Like pieces, like I just think you killed that piece. I just find it so. It's such a fresh piece for the whole set too, because you don't really get that kind of that glow. You know what I mean? Like it feels like complete daylight, high noon, everything's in bloom. That one and one of my favorite pieces in the whole set, which I didn't think it would be a character that would happen. I think Marvel card collectors are very much about the art. Unlike, I know Magic community is too, but since there is no playability, it is all art, all the stories and the composition. I think the best piece for me in this set, like just done so beautifully, is Ebony Maw.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I love Ebony Maw.
I mean, that thing is killer, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, that porthole with the galaxy behind him and the shadowing and the color, the lighting on that. I mean, killer.
Oh, thank you.
Love that piece. Love it.
Yeah, it's so there's a couple kind of surprises that ones that people really clicked with. Phoenix Force is another one that
so cool.
Some people
so cool to see that.
And Phoenix Force is a more kind of like, it's an interesting, I'm using quotes, character, but obviously it's connected to X-Men, so it's not quite as peripheral as Ebony Maw.
It's very scenic.
Yeah,
I feel like that card's very sick because most of them are portraits, 3/4, all that kind of stuff. But the Phoenix Force is just like this screen grab, you know what I mean, from this epic moment. And I love the silhouette. Is that Cyclops who's there? I feel like that's
it was. So that's funny that I'm sure you guys both have read the Dark Phoenix saga at some point in your lives.
Yes, not for a while. Yes.
That was one that really stuck in my memory from reading these books as a kid, and I remembered when Phoenix flies off into space and basically goes and consumes a planet to recharge. Yes. And so that was the original concept that I wanted to do, was that it was going to be these alien people on this other planet. And I remembered it in a really particular way, and I went back and looked at the comic, and it was the way I remembered it just didn't happen at all. That goes. And but I was I think it'll still make sense. It's
it resonates.
Yeah, and that was when I sent my not the painted sketch, but I did really rough pencil thumbnails that I sent to Sam Padilla, who was the art director for all of these. She would kind of weigh in on the pencils before I got to the point of doing the painted sketches, just to catch if there was anything really, really off about it. And I remember in that, you couldn't tell what the foreground really was because it was so loose. And she asked, she's like, "Are these the X-Men or are these just, people?" And I was looking at it, I was like, it should be the X-Men, shouldn't it? That does work better. So, so I switched it to be the this. That's another one. There's a couple of cards that printed different from how they painted. So in the actual painting, Nightcrawler is the foreground most character. And I didn't know that there was a no Nightcrawler policy in play at the moment. And so when I turned in the final, they were like, "Oh, you got to change him into somebody else." So I turned him in, digitally repainted him as Banshee. But I like Nightcrawler better. So
nice.
Well, I thought it was Nightcrawler because of the hand, and I was like, I swear that's Nightcrawler's hand, but it's not the costume. So it's just so funny that you said that. That's hilarious.
Beautiful, because I'm looking at the original painting here, and I can see it's Nightcrawler clearly. I can see Wolverine's silhouette as well with his. What are those things? Ears? What are those things called? They're not ears, are they?
Those little points on them.
Yeah.
Wearing his.
There should be a name for them.
There should be a name for them. Yes.
I think. Yeah, and Cyclops with his yellow underwear.
Oh, you can't beat a bit of yellow underwear. No, Ebony Maw. I'm the same. It's that. If I had the green to have really chased one and got the metal, especially the metallurgy for that one, just because the vibrancy of the colours is really beautiful on those metallurgy cards. I don't know if you've seen any of them in hand, Dave, but
Not in person, no.
they are tremendously good quality creations, because they're obviously not cards. I'm not sure what the metal is. I think aluminium maybe, but anyway, but they are beautiful. But the other one for me, which surprised me, I've never really been as big into this character. There's a lot of people who are really big into this character, but Thanos, the actual, just I remember you pulled it, Norrin, when we did our box break. I think it was like pack 1, and I just kept thinking about it all the way through the break that we were doing. So I've just pulled up the painting of mine, but of course I've pulled up the one from the holofoil, I believe. So where's the base card one gone? Because the base card one, it's just something about the perspective on it, something about the way that he's standing. Yeah, just the skull being such a big thing in the foreground. I love it. And again, you've got the space behind him. And what I love about both that and Ebony Moore is you're kind of looking up a little bit at both of them, which I guess is is often the case with bad guys and villains. I
can do that with. I think you'll find that it's rare that there's an eye level above waist for any of the characters. I just think it's that thing that when a character looks more powerful when they're standing above you, kind of a thing.
Something about those two, it just stuck with me. It just felt like such a big.
Yeah, but you did that with Groot, which I thought was really fun because he looks like a tree in this forest that's behind him, and I thought that was a really fun idea to make him look like a giant trunk of a tree. I thought that was really cool.
Some of them are really exaggerated like that. I feel like the only characters that is not the case for are the ones that are in some of the flying characters, like Namor, who's flying up towards us, so we're looking down at him because our camera is above him and he's flying towards us. But love it. Even some of the it's hard to say. I'm just scrolling through, and the hood, it's maybe that's eye level, but I think it's really chest level. I think there's a subtlety of just getting yourself about a foot lower.
Yeah. And then of course, what's this great gargoyle? Great gargoyle just cracks me up every time I see it. It kind of, it's, what, Great Gargoyle, the painting of that is kind of later that night on the Pip the Troll painting.
There was
later that night he's in the casino. You see him beside him.
That was one of the really early ones that I painted, and I think there was a feeling of let's see what happens. If I'm just gonna send this sketch in and see what happens, and they're just like, "Cool, looks good." Really? Okay. They're gonna just let me do my thing for real. Okay. So
he's wearing his cape with 2 straps. Is that what you put in there? That's classic.
I think that's what the costume looks like. He's got these things around his arms. There. Yeah. So it's not like a unitard or anything like that. Like he's shirtless with the cape. He's got gloves and gym shorts and a cape strapped around his shoulders.
That's great. What a trip. Oh, so you said. Okay, so maybe I'm remembering this incorrectly. You said you had put Boris, I think, or someone's face in here?
Yeah, Boris is Professor X, although he looked more like Cory Booker to me in the... I was not trying to make him look like Cory Booker. It's just that it's like, that's... How about that? So, yeah.
That's great. Oh, gosh.
That is hilarious. And of course, the one, I mean, obviously, I think everyone now knows who Pat King was. Because Pat King
was everybody. Pat King was a ton of these,
is everybody. And I mentioned it earlier on, the one that's I looked at it, I was like, that's Dave. And it is Wizard. I don't know Wizard, the character, at all, but that is. I mean, it's a beautiful piece, but
so great.
I'm not sure that anybody has the other one that's me. So I'm a couple of these where it doesn't matter if it's me or not. Lizard is me, but who cares? Because
Lizard.
But
Lizard looks great here. I love that one.
But the other one is Jigsaw. I don't know if anyone has caught it, but that was super fun because I got to just completely mess up my face. Like normally when you're painting a portrait, it's like I got to do all the things that you're always trying not to do, you know? And that was pretty fun.
I love that eye. That eye works so well in there.
Hang on, Jigsaw. Sorry, mine are all out of order here, so I'm just trying to find the image. Is he the guy with the big ass knife?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Wow. All right. Yes, I can see that now. Yeah. Strangely enough, that reminded me a little bit of Mads Mikkelsen, the actor who'd played Hannibal.
Yeah.
A little bit. That's. But you're not too dissimilar looking from him. He's a handsome chap.
When it's also the unbearding thing always changes stuff more than you think it's going to, which was something with using Pat for so many characters, but most of the stuff that we shot, he had some stage of beard going on. Mm-hmm. So it was still kind of like inventing that lower half of the face, and that helped to kind of like, give a little bit of difference here and there between characters, because in a lot of these, the only part of their face you can see is the part that is covered up by the beard. Like Bullseye is wearing that cowl that all you can see is, and Captain America also. That's why I thought it was fun doing the Kraven with him, because it was like you just got to do straight up Pat with that one,
Yeah.
And I love the scene there too. Like Fing Fang Foom has like a police car there, and I love that kind of like cityscape scene thing that you did in those pieces that share that kind of similar setting. Really cool.
I love Vision. I've been really getting. I've just seen the Professor X. I can see it now. That's brilliant. I've been looking at the Vision a lot more recently because of WandaVision. So I've been taking a look through and just really looking at how different artists have interpreted him, and I've got so much more appreciation for that character because of Paul Bettany's amazing performance in that role, and I just love that one. There's something about the sun behind him it just does it for me. Just the way it's hitting his chest and floating. You can see the light through the cloak that he's got billowing around him. Then no capes, as Edmund says. There's no Scarlet Witch. Am I right? There's no Scarlet Witch. No Scarlet Witch. Was she not allowed, or did you just not?
Just didn't come up. There were a couple of characters that I didn't have on my request. My request list should have been longer. I felt like if I give them a shorter list of the stuff I really want, there's a better chance that I'll get what I really want. It's possible that if I'd given them a longer list, I still would have gotten all the ones that I asked for. I don't know. But no Scarlet Witch, no Psylocke, which I know a lot of people, it seems Psylocke and Carnage are the ones that people are the most curious about. And the only answer I have for them is that I didn't ask for them and they didn't request them. So...
Yeah, because you're Psylocke AP, people are just like losing their minds on that one.
Both of them would have been fun to do.
Carnage would have been great, man.
Neither of them made my particular short list. So
I love your Venoms. You killed the symbiote, and your monsters are. Yeah.
No, killer. I mean those are fun. Yeah, but it was I really want to do Howard the Duck. I really want to do Arcade. And I don't think they're going to ask me to do Arcade if I don't ask them for it. So I think there were some characters, I don't think my list had Thor on it. Because I was we know Thor's going to be in the set. So I'm not going to waste anybody's time asking for that one, And I think there were some that I just didn't think to put down. And then, it would have been really cool to do a Psylocke. It just didn't end up that way.
It's the I'd love to have seen you do Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah,
that's just me. That's just me.
That was why I did a sketch card of that one also. So that was
that's right. Yes.
Kind of when I did my sketch cards at that point was I had more time to think about the characters that didn't end up in here that would have been fun to do, and put some of those in there. So yeah.
Speaking of Easter eggs, one of my favourite ones, and a lot of people have picked up on this, is Arcade. When he's looking at all the monitors, of course, on the screens there, you can see the Wolverine, the Kitty Pryde, the Cyclops. I'm just struggling to see what the ones at the back are. There's a couple at the back I can't quite make out. Did you always plan to do that?
Yeah. Love it. Yeah, that one. So the was that a hollow? That was a hollow foil. The hollow foils were some of the last pieces that I did.
Okay.
And so at that point, like I had already painted the base Wolverine, Kitty Pryde. I'm looking. Yeah, I know what they are, but I know that they don't read. Jean Grey is also in there.
Oh yes.
Storm is in there. Storm is the one that's like right to the right of his face. And just next to that one, it's like, I'm going to say it's Beast, but I don't expect that anybody can even tell that that's Beast. But yeah, like I had already done all of those paintings. The Cyclops from the Cyclops versus Mr. Sinister, I'd done that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just thought it would be fun to reference the other cards in there, because it felt like Arcade doesn't actually fight. He sits back and watches his devices do the work. So
yeah.
Kind of like a puppet master, isn't he? I love that. I like the fact that you've done Palumbo after Palumbo in your own work there. That's quite a nice little touch. Are there any other little like fun Easter eggs that people might not have spotted that you put in that you're surprised that people haven't spotted? I'm just curious. There might not be any, but
I don't think there's any pieces that haven't been somebody hasn't asked me about. There's not a ton. The Craven, the taxi cab number is ASM15 for Amazing Spider-Man 15.
That's nice. I hadn't spotted that.
I'm trying to think if there's any others. Some of them, like, I don't know if it's really an Easter egg. Like, I hate when BuzzFeed puts out a list of, like, 15 things you didn't know about this movie, and then it's like,
my goodness.
I did know about that thing about that movie because the plot doesn't work without that detail, But, the Mysterio, the Canvas Gallery Mysterio is kind of like a connected piece to the base Mysterio.
I knew it.
Yeah.
That looks great. I love that.
But
we just spoke to the guy who has the two prelims.
Donnie.
Donnie.
Yes.
Our buddy Donnie.
He completed, I think it was the Canvas Rainbow. Like, I don't think you could rainbow more than his rainbow there. Like, he's got...
No, he is King Rainbow on that one. I think
he killed it.
He's nailed it.
Got them all, and then he's also got the prelim and the original for that painting. So
no, he's gone hard, and bless him. It's a nice little segue. It's like we planned this. Those music articles that he did. Mm-hmm. Where he spoke about the pieces of music that you had as kind of the theme. It might be the wrong word, but that you'd associated with each character. Your breadth of taste of music is astonishing. Because there's some crazy stuff on that playlist. Was that music you already knew? I mean, if your musical taste that kind of broad and expansive that you had all those different genres and styles on your iPod?
I think most of it were pieces that were in my collection of just like over the years. And then there were some that got added in, because then, like, once you're open to it, once you're your head is open to the idea. I was working on the set, and I think that there were some pieces that got swapped out, and a new piece of music came in because I found something that was like, oh no, this is, I didn't know about this before, but this really works for this character. And there were some pieces of music that Rumors of War by High on Fire, which is the Juggernaut song, but it's also like that's also like 20 other characters' songs, kind of, because it's just like the energy and mood of it is so specifically like that also works for the Hulk leaping over a tank on fire. That also works for so many of the kind of more like aggressive, active pieces where it's just like, it's like the kind of song that if you need to go for a run or something, and it's like, this is going to keep me going for just 3 more minutes, that was really fun. That was something that I spent several days before I started doing any sketches at all. I really think there were several days where I was just like sitting there at my computer, like going through all of my music, and I suppose, I was also kind of like looking and exploring outside of my own library for things that could feel right. And it just really kind of helped put my head in the right spot and get a little bit of variety into, like thinking that the Chinatown theme for Howard the Duck might not have been where I was going to go with Howard the Duck to begin with, but when I'm looking through my music and I'm like, ooh, like making that connection, then that kind of becomes something to play around with and see if it works. Yeah.
That's cool.
That's interesting. I mean, I'm still working my way through all of them, but I have mad respect for the breadth of taste that you've got going on there.
Yeah, some of them are a little bit like I didn't double check if Donnie was able to pull the same versions of all the songs, because like when I was posting these on Instagram, I was linking music and putting them in my stories, and those are all still on my Instagram stories, but there are some that I had to skip because like Doctor Strange has, not to be confused with High on Fire, the band, but Doctor Strange has Fire on High, the song by Electric Light Orchestra, and for some reason, unless I might be getting confused, but I think that was the one that for some reason I could only find covers. I couldn't find the ELO version of the song. And I was like, no, it's not the same song. Like, respect and all, but it's like, this isn't, it's not the same song. And,
it's one of those things, because they're not together anymore, it could well be something that was caught up in rights issues. Yeah.
I'm sure, especially because it's Instagram. You can't upload music. You have to use, it's like they've either got it or they don't. And there were some cases I was very frustrated that it was like, wow, they actually have a lot of songs by this kind of obscure band. They just don't have the one that I need. So not that ELO is obscure, but I mean, like there were some other cases like a piece of music by a composer that was from a movie soundtrack. There's a number of those, where it's like, I actually have a lot of stuff from this composer. They just don't have anything from this particular movie, or they don't have the one that I need. So, but I think Donnie was able to find most of them on YouTube.
Yeah, no, he's it certainly looks very comprehensive. I'm looking forward to where he goes next with it, because he's got some ideas for some articles that cross over into some of the other masterpieces.
That's going to be cool to see. He's talked to me a little bit about that. That'll be fun.
No, I love it. It's just such a nice companion piece to have that. That works really well with people kind of discovering, especially the characters they may not know, because there are so many characters that I don't have enough time to read as much as I'd like to in comics, that's for sure. But there's characters I'm definitely going to go and check out as a result of them being included in the set that I'm really looking forward to kind of discovering a little bit more about. Not least of which Howard the Duck the movie and The Promise of Duck Boobs. But
it's there, it's real. So think Total Recall with fur. and one less.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, that just makes me think of what if Howard the Duck had been directed by Paul Verhoeven, and I want to see that movie.
I want to see that.
Oh
I
my
feel
goodness!
I am
me.
there.
Imagine.
He would get the character. I think that would have been,
Good
that could
match.
have been like one of his best, honestly.
Oh,
I hope it's weird. I hope the next Howard the Duck movie is weird. I want it to be.
Are they doing it? Are they doing it as part of
They
the
have to.
MCU?
He's
Because he's
in,
popped up in like Easter eggs and things.
He's in the
Guardians of
MCU.
Galaxy.
He was in the Galaxy, right? Like he was
I think
sitting there drinking a martini.
Post-credits things. Yeah.
Will
I think
we
he's been in two
finally
post-credits things.
see a MCU version of Dr. Bong? Is that where it's headed?
Dr. Bong.
Dr.
My
Bong.
friend Kevin Letty. Kevin what number did we give that, Kevin? 2. I don't know why we did that. But yeah, Kevin Letty loves Dr. Bong. That's so funny.
You know, honestly, if I probably wouldn't have requested it since there already is a Howard the Duck in the base set, but Howard versus Dr. Bong would have been a really fun battle spectra.
That would have been a cool battle. I love it.
Brilliant. I love it. So if you could, right, this is the thing. If they came back to you tomorrow and they said you can do 5 more cards, we're gonna re-release the set with 5 more cards in. What would do? Right. So Howard and Dr. Bong, would that be one of them? Oh, you see, I can see the cogs whirring.
Feels.
That would be a fun one. Yeah, that would be a fun one. I saw somebody mention, it might have been you, Ian, mentioned Sin Eater.
Oh,
Sin Eater would be a fun one.
I think your take on Sin Eater, I would love to see.
I mean, some of them, like that character, feel to me like really in my wheelhouse as far as the type of work I do outside of the masterpieces stuff I've done.
Yeah.
But I mean, I assume you're talking about excluding the ones that I really wanted to do and couldn't. Dr. Doom would have been, top of my list. Nightcrawler would have been, those.
Nightcrawler would have been.
Those were both ones that I asked for and was told like, no, sorry, can't do it. So, yeah, a lot of the ones that I wish I could add in as a bonus piece were ones that were excluded for legal reasons.
Yeah,
so,
which is fair enough, I guess. Well,
Dr. Doom, Nightcrawler, that would have been right up there. That would have been really crazy good.
You'd have been all over that, knowing.
Yeah. Because those would look. I mean, I see when I first started talking to Dave, I was like, "Oh man, I'm so excited! Your style is darker. I love this stuff." I was like geeking out. Poor Dave. I was just like, "Yeah." I just keep. Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Werewolves. That's one that I would have liked to do also. I don't know if you guys were Excalibur readers.
Yeah, vaguely.
No,
yeah.
Man, damn, that'd been cool.
They were like they were like humanoid. I think they did run on all fours, kind of, but they were like all silver colored with like kind of beak-shaped faces, and they could possess people by like they would like go inside their bodies, and then once they were done possessing, then they would leave the body, and all that was left was just like an empty skin of the person.
That's kind of cool.
Which is like, as I'm describing it, it's like pretty grisly,
but
it's almost comical.
Wait, did you do Mystique?
Yeah, there was a Mystique.
Yes.
Holofoil?
Holofoil.
I didn't know. That one wasn't an issue. I didn't know the holofoils, you would lose a lot of the detail in the way that they print, which I think is the kind of the one bummer about the arcade holofoil is I'm not sure how much the details on that one are really important, and I'm not sure how much they read in the holofoil version.
It's one thing that I always find with the gallery cards is that because of the nature of the print, they feel a little bit washed out might be the wrong word, but they're less vibrant.
But then the gold and red frames, it seems like
the gold ones, So I always go for the gold ones because it is a gloss finish, and that you really do get the brightness of the print. So
and they're scaled down too, so you really get to see them a little bit. It's really nice. Yeah, I would like to have seen more. I don't know, man. Like a cool skin tearing thing from you. That would have been sick. I think that would have been really cool too. Because I love your textures.
There you go. So there's your
the
regular canvas.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good card.
And there's your gold. Sorry about the shine on that one.
Oh, it's interesting that they... So I wasn't sure if they just cropped it when they put the frame on, or they actually do scale it down a little bit.
Yeah, they do.
They scale it down,
and you just get the full vibrancy, and the back is different as well.
Well, you actually get to see the image clearer because it doesn't have the text over top of the bottom.
Yeah. So the gold gallery, I love them. I absolutely love them. I've got the full set of 9 from the Bianchi set, and they're just amazing. They're my favourite pieces in the set in terms of the actual quality of the cards. There's something about that gold border that just really sets it off. And of course, those gold borders all started with Julian Boris.
Right.
So funny and crazy.
So that's where that comes from. So
I'm in my head, I'm seeing the Cyclops. Is that right? Where it's like his face with the...
Yes. Got it here somewhere. Where are they?
Ian and I are both stretching our necks. Where is this?
No, I've got them here because I just rebinded my 96 set. So we have. There we go.
That's the one. Yeah.
Cyclops.
And then
love that.
Hulk, Magneto. That's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
With the mask pulled up.
Yeah.
I love that.
Sabretooth would have been a fun character also.
Yeah.
Sabretooth is cool.
That's interesting that there's 2 Sabretooths there. Am I seeing that right?
No, so one's Wolverine and one's Sabretooth.
Oh, the other one was Wolverine. Okay.
Yeah. A very feral Wolverine by your ma, with the Sabretooth being Boris. But I would have... just because I'm thinking about it now, I mean, I would have loved you to have done Chamber from Generation X. Something about that fight. Just seeing the way that you did Ghost Rider and the way that you realised Phoenix Force, I think I'd have relished seeing that one. And the other one that's just completely gone out of my head, it was. Well, you did Nightmare, so it's very close. It's the whole Midnight Suns. So from the Book of Darkhold, I can't remember what the name of the character is now.
Not Johnny Blaze.
Yes. No.
You think Vengeance?
No, Book of Darkhold. Specifically that book. No, it's gone. It's okay.
It's gone.
It's come back to me. I'm having a senior moment, Dave. You'll get used to these as you get to my advanced years.
Johnny Blaze would have been a cool one.
Johnny Blaze, yes.
So many good characters.
There's so many good characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun.
It's like that's what I love about these sets is when I look back at the older ones, you obviously see characters that were very much in vogue or Marvel needed to promote at the time. So you've got a whole X-Men 2099 subset in Marvel Masterpieces 93. And
I do like that Spider-Man 2099 though.
Yeah. Yeah. Spidey 2099 is always a good shout. You may have heard the episode. You might not have heard the episode we did recently where we talked about Fleer Ultra and if they were going to do different Fleer Ultra sets. And of course, I was petitioning hard for Marvel Knights, but also for New Universe because I'm a big New Universe fan, and people throw rocks at me for that. So I would have loved to seen you do Starbrand.
Yeah, that's. I got to be honest. That one's outside my knowledge. Let me look that up.
Yeah, it's John Byrne, I think, took it over. And did the kind of final run. I think it did about 20 issues.
Okay. Yeah, I never read these.
Yeah, and it was fun. You know, it was the 80s. Let's face it. You know,
it was the 80s.
It was the 80s.
Anything goes.
It was anything goes. I can honestly say, Dave, I've loved this set, and I'm still loving it. I'm taking my time putting it into the binder pages because I'm just really enjoying looking through the cards. And have you actually had any of the cards in hand?
So
at all?
They sent me. They did send me some product, which I have not opened. I'm trying to decide if I want to or not, because I just don't I don't know what I want to do with that. Because what I really wanted was an uncut sheet, and they were good enough to send me one of those as well, which is in this big piece of cardboard behind me here.
Yes.
And the only reason that it's not framed and hanging up on the wall behind me is because my framer is currently not. Actually, they might be open. They're probably open now. But at the time that showed up, they were temporarily closed.
Mm-hmm,
and so I was just like, okay, I'm going to hold on to that. But yeah, the uncut sheet to me was really the thing that, I don't know if it's a connection to when I was a kid and I would see uncut sheets. I think just the fact that it's like something that can hang up on the wall, which I really don't hang much of my own work unless it's something that, my wife wants to hang up. But it's not usually something I do with my own pieces. But something about that feels like it's more than just the art, but it's the pride in having completed the thing. And so, to me, like having that is almost more than the individual cards,
Yeah.
So I mean, I've handled them. Obviously, excuse me, they sent me all of the ones for the signatures.
Of course, yes.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, is the uncut sheet is really the thing
that's so exciting, man.
Excited about.
That is awesome. I can't wait to see that. You posted on Instagram a picture of you when you got that uncut sheet.
Yeah.
It's just the happiest photo I think I saw in 2020. You look so happy in that photo. With your blessing, I'd love to use that for this episode.
Absolutely. I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, this feels real.
Yeah.
To get that felt like this makes it feel real. So.
Yeah. Well, listen, Dave, it is an immense achievement what you've done. I mean, I know it was hard graft. I know I get a real sense that you enjoyed it and you enjoyed the process and you were very disciplined and people have lapped it up. And
it's been. It's funny to look back now after this has been out for a while, and while I was working on it, I was just like, I know I'm doing these in a way that I like, but it's there's going to be a difference of opinions when they come out, and so it's just been it's really nice to see whenever there is someone who, it's like I see a lot of people who it's like not my set, it's like I like the Bianchis or I like the Juscos and that's I'm the same way. I've got the things that I'm into, and everybody's really into this movie, and I couldn't care less, and that kind of thing. Like certain shows that everybody's talking about, and like doesn't do it for me. So it's nothing personal or anything, but it is still really really fun to see when there are people who like the way I see the characters really connects with the way that they like to see the characters.
Yeah.
So
no, it must be must be brilliant and weird at the same time just to experience that. I'm kind of going to start to circle us into land because I'm sure you sound like you've got lots of projects to go on to. Someone commented on group earlier on, and I bookmarked it. Because I thought it'd be nice to kind of a nice positive note to go out on. Chris Brown, who's a really enthusiastic chap, posted earlier on, Mother of God, just look and admire the Dave Palumbo Red Skull sketch card in all its glory. If the owner of this card is a member of the group and sees this post, bro, I'll give you whatever you want for this card. I'll sell my soul. Lol. It's always good saying lol out loud. Just kidding, but this is my favourite sketch card of all time. And it is an absolute cracker. So yeah, and that's the kind of stuff we're seeing, and it's just so nice, when people dig nice. So thank you, Dave,
thank you so much, Dave,
for signing up for it. And
my pleasure, like all around, start to finish. So.
I'm really looking forward. I know you hinted that it might be a possibility on the horizon, and I'm not putting you on the spot here because you might not have moved any further in those plans, especially with the rest of the year. It sounds like you've got your work lined up for the potential for a book, which I know that you did mention you might want to do at some point. So if that happens, take my money now. Fine.
What can I say about that? If it can happen, it will. That's what I'll say about it.
That's
I wish I had something more definitive to give you right now.
No.
It's not a no, but it's not a yes.
No,
so,
that's absolutely fine.
Fingers crossed.
I've already had an extra Palumbo in my weekend with the Cersei piece coming out. So whenever you're ready to drop those other two that were finished, I'm sure me and hundreds of others will be happy to lap them up. Dave, thank you.
Maybe I'll post one up when we get off here. By the time people hear it, it'll be old news. But
yeah. Well, I was going to say that. Well, otherwise, when this drops, which will be in 2-3 weeks' time, you'll have people hitting you up for a sneak peek, I'm sure, or to say, I don't suppose you got the original artwork, if you, Dave. I'm sure you'll get a few of those. Dave, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, brother.
Coming back.
It's been a pleasure. Great talking to you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Enjoy collecting.
Thanks for listening to the Marvel Card Collectors Podcast. Visuals and tasting notes for each episode can be found on our Facebook page. You can subscribe and leave us a voicemail via our home on anchor.fm/MCCP. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcast platforms. Please take a second to subscribe, like, and review our show wherever you get your podcasts. Our podcast can be found by Googling @the MCC Pod, which will also find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Our Facebook community is at MCCW, Marvel Card Collectors Worldwide, and MMC, Marvel Masterpieces Collectors. The great music we use is called Rocket Power by Kevin MacLeod. Thanks to the collectors, artists, and creators who support the Marvel Cards Fan Collective. We'll see you next time, and remember, it's a small hobby but a fun one. Make mine Marvel and enjoy collecting.